At a family gathering, I was resting because I felt contractions in my pregnant belly. Hey, why are you taking a break? There are empty glasses here. The next moment, a cold liquid splashed across my face. Immediately, I caught the smell of champagne. My husband Connor had thrown champagne at me. Stop using your pregnancy as an excuse. You're a wife, so pay attention and keep working. At that moment, I heard something snap in my head. So that's how it is. Well then, I won't stay quiet anymore. I smiled sweetly. All right then. I'll tell Gloria the same thing. After all, she's your wife too, isn't she? Huh? After my brother's startled voice, Connor also said, "What?" I announced that I would go over to where my brother's wife Gloria was. Gloria. Connor says that as a wife, you shouldn't rest and should keep working. Shall we work together? After this, my enraged brother turned the situation into complete chaos. My name is Flora. I'm 30 years old. I have a brother named Ian who's 3 years older than me. Since we were young, our father and mother didn't get along well. The cause was our father's womanizing ways. Apparently, he frequently visited nightclubs, cheated, and wasted money. I saw my parents arguing more times than I can count. Eventually, when I was in elementary school, my parents divorced, and my brother Ian and I went to live with our mother. When I was full of anxiety about having to transfer schools and our father leaving, Ian said to me, "Flora, from now on, I'll be your father's replacement. I'll definitely protect you. You can rely on me for anything." Yes. Thank you. Ian was still only in the upper grades of elementary school at that time. Even though he must have been anxious himself, I still respect him for saying such words to me. After that, we lived as a family of 3, our mother, my brother, and me. Ian and I went to university using scholarship programs, and Ian joined a major construction company. I also started working at the cosmetics company I had hoped for. However, soon after I started working, our mother fell ill. By the time she was hospitalized, it was already too late, and she passed away a few months later. At the funeral, when I broke down crying, Ian said to me, "From now on, we'll support each other. Flora, you have me. Everything will be all right." With those words as my talisman, I lived through my 20s. While Ian and I lived separately, we would meet occasionally to have meals together and talk about recent events. He was always my reliable, proud brother. When I was in my late 20s, I went to a group date at a friend's invitation, where I had a fateful encounter. Nice to meet you, I'm Connor. You mentioned earlier in your introduction that you enjoy watching movies. Me too. One of the male participants, Connor, approached me like this. After that, we hit it off talking about our shared interest in movies, and exchanged contact information. After that, Connor actively pursued me. I didn't mind, and eventually started dating him. He worked at his parents' construction materials company. I'm going to take over my parents' company while I'm still young. You're lucky to be dating such a promising guy like me. I remember Connor making such casual remarks while we were dating. Anyway, Connor and I dated for nearly 2 years without any particular problems. I liked his masculine and cheerful personality, and gradually started thinking about our future together. On my birthday during our second year of dating, Connor made a reservation at a fancier restaurant than usual, and as dinner was ending, he presented me with a ring and said of Flora, "Marry me. Let's be happy together." I happily accepted the ring and said through tears, "Thank you, Connor. I'm so happy." I gazed dreamily at the ring I had received. At this moment, I was at the height of happiness. After that, we decided to go greet each other's families about our marriage. I had heard that Connor's parents were divorced long ago, and only his father, who served as CEO of the company, was at his family home. When I first met Connor's father, he had an imposing presence with his stout build. When Connor introduced me and said we intended to marry, my father-in-law said, "I see, marriage is it. Very well, I approve of the marriage." I felt relieved for the moment and let out a sigh. Then, my father-in-law continued of Flora, "After you're married, quit your job and come work at our company. I'll hire you as an office worker." What? I was shocked by my father-in-law's words. I had planned to continue working at the cosmetics company even after marriage. I'm sorry. I find my current job fulfilling. I plan to continue working at my current company after marriage. Then Connor frowned. Hey, my father is being generous here. But you know how much I love my current job. Hearing our conversation, my father-in-law declared, Enough. I understand you don't want to work for us. Do as you please." After that, Connor's father became somewhat sullen, and I felt very awkward. A week later, it was time to introduce Connor to my brother Ian. Ian approved of my marriage, which made me happy, but then Connor said something strange to Ian. "You work at that major construction company, right? Which university did you go to?" "I went to Central University." Connor was proud of graduating from a somewhat famous private university. However, Ian's national university surpassed Connor's university in both academic standards and reputation. Connor's face twisted. "Oh, Central University? Since you went to a national university, I guess that was because you were struggling financially? After all, you were from a single-mother household, right? Life must have been really tough." "Well, I went to a private university because my parents paid for everything." I was stunned by Connor saying such things. "Well, I can't say we didn't struggle." When Ian said this, Connor looked somewhat pleased. At the end of that day, Ian said to Connor, "Connor, Flora is my precious sister and my only family. Please make her happy." I remember Connor responding with a "leave it to me." After that, Connor and I registered our marriage, had a wedding ceremony with many of Connor's relatives and my friends in attendance, and started living in an apartment right near Connor's family home. I thought my sweet life with Connor was about to begin, but I immediately hit a wall. Connor did practically nothing in terms of housework. He not only refused to help with cleaning, laundry, and cooking, but he wouldn't even clean up his dishes after eating, left his clothes lying around, and wouldn't throw trash in the trash can. When I asked, it turned out that Connor, who had been living at home until now, had let the housekeeper his father employed do everything. "Connor, this isn't your family home. I'm working too, so I need you to help at least a little with the housework." I told him with a serious expression, but it didn't seem to reach him. Sigh. Since we're married, housework is the wife's job, right? That's such an outdated way of thinking. Anyway, please learn to do some housework. No way. I'm working hard every day as the future CEO. I have no intention of working when I get home. Although he had been kind and considerate when we were dating, I guess this is what they mean by not feeding a fish once you've caught it. After that, Connor still wouldn't do any housework, and my burden only increased. About a year after we got married, I received a message from Ian saying he wanted to introduce his marriage partner. I was shocked. I didn't even know my brother was seeing anyone. Still, it was certainly happy news. On the promised day, I went with Connor to the restaurant Ian had reserved. Flora, this is Gloria who I'm dating. I'm planning to marry her. Then the woman next to my brother bowed her head. She had such a beautifully arranged face that even I, a woman, was momentarily struck by her cuteness. Nice to meet you, I'm Gloria. Looking at Connor next to me, he seemed to be captivated by Gloria as well. I heard that Ian and Gloria had met at a party. Flora, do you still work even though you're married? When Gloria asked me this, Connor answered before I could, yes, when we got married, my father offered to hire her at his company, but she was stubborn and keeps working at a cosmetics company. Oh my, your family runs a company? That's amazing. Well, I am the future CEO. As they conversed, I hurriedly interjected. Gloria, what do you do for work? I was working as a receptionist at a department store, but I plan to become a full-time housewife after marriage. Indeed, with Ian's income, she wouldn't need to work. I hoped Gloria would support busy Ian. That day, I parted from Gloria saying, please take care of Ian. On the way home, Connor said cheerfully, wow, Gloria was cute. That's what you call a beauty. Yes, she and Ian made a great couple. Then, for some reason, Connor seemed to become sullen and stopped talking much after that. I wondered about it but didn't think too deeply about it at the time. After that, Ian and Gloria got married and started living about an hour's drive from where we lived. Sometime after that, I had been feeling unwell and went to the hospital, where I found out I was pregnant. When I happily reported this to Connor, he just replied, Feeling deflated by his response, I said we're having a baby. I thought you'd be happier. Well, yes, it's good news, isn't it? Then he immediately looked down at his phone. While I was dissatisfied with his attitude, when I reported the pregnancy to Ian, he was overjoyed. Flora, that's wonderful. Take good care of yourself. Ian was happier than my husband, which made me glad. Soon after, my morning sickness began. However, not only did Connor not care about my condition, but he started staying out late more often. Connor, you've been coming home late lately. Sometimes you come home drunk too. What are you doing? It's work. As the future CEO, I have to attend business dinners and such, I'm busy. Connor always said such things. When a wife is suffering from morning sickness, a normal husband would be considerate and buy foods she could eat. However, Connor never did such things even once. Moreover, on a day he happened to come home early, this happened, hey, I'm home. Where's dinner? That day my morning sickness was particularly severe, and I had been in bed since morning, taking the day off work. I'm sorry. My morning sickness was really bad today, so I couldn't cook. Could you either buy something or eat something from the freezer? Then Connor flew into a rage. You expect your husband, who's tired from work, to eat frozen food. What kind of wife are you? But like I said, my morning sickness was really bad today. I don't care about that. Just get up and make dinner. I won't forgive you if you cut corners. Then Connor pulled my arm and forced me to stand up. In the end that day, I had to cook Connor's dinner while fighting back nausea. After that, Connor continued coming home late at night and going out somewhere on weekends. One day, when Connor came home drunk, I caught the scent of women's perfume on him. A sweet scent that I felt I had smelled somewhere before. At this point, I secretly decided to investigate Connor. I knew it was common for husbands to cheat during their wives' pregnancies. While hoping I was mistaken, I contacted a private investigator. Around the time I was 5 months pregnant and found out the baby was a boy, Connor said to me, "Hey, we're having a baby shower. Yes, we need to prepare. My father said he'll participate, so you should invite Ian and Gloria too. Let's invite lots of my relatives too. Since it's a boy, he'll be the heir to our company. It's a good opportunity to announce the pregnancy and gender to the relatives." My father is already reaching out to relatives. I nodded reluctantly. Though I felt heavy about inviting many of his relatives, I convinced myself it was inevitable since we were married. So I told Ian about having a baby shower and that I wanted him to come with Gloria. Ian said, "Gloria seems really excited about it too." This is how we arranged the baby shower. And the day before the baby shower, an envelope arrived for me. When I saw its contents, I gasped. No way. This can't be. Then came the day of the baby shower. Connor and I were busy with preparations from the morning. My father-in-law and Ian and Gloria arrived at our home. Though I wasn't calm due to a certain secret, I continued with preparations as if carried along by the flow. Soon after, other relatives began gathering, saying, "Congratulations on the pregnancy," one after another. Most of Connor's relatives worked at his father's company and were sensible, kind people. I was busy distributing champagne glasses and arranging food on the tables. "Is it okay for you to move around so much with such a big belly? Should I help?" When Ian worriedly offered, I smiled and said I'm fine. Eventually, the party began with my father-in-law's toast. Connor was happily drinking the champagne being poured by relatives. Ian and Gloria appeared to be eating while talking about something in a corner. I thought about going to greet all the relatives, but at that moment I felt strong contractions. Ouch. Whether from stress or from moving around too much just before, my stomach hurt. Since these usually get better with some rest, I sat down in a comfortable position rubbing my belly. Then Connor said to me, "Hey, what are you resting for? There are empty glasses." And the next moment, a cold liquid suddenly splashed across my face. Immediately after, the smell of champagne hit my nose. Connor had thrown champagne at me. Stop using pregnancy as an excuse. As a wife, you need to pay attention and keep moving. At this moment, I heard something snap in my head. I see, so that's how it is. Well then, I won't stay quiet anymore. By now, all the relatives' attention had gathered on us. I smiled sweetly in this situation. All right then. I'll tell Gloria too. After all, she's your wife too, isn't she? Huh? After my brother's startled voice, Connor also said, "What?" The surrounding relatives also looked confused. I stood up and walked steadily to where Ian and Gloria were sitting. Eventually, I confronted Gloria. "Gloria, Connor says that as a wife, you shouldn't rest and should keep moving. Shall we work together?" Gloria had a blank expression and looked at me. My brother next to her had the same expression. "Hey, Flora, what are you saying?" Gloria being Connor's wife. "I really don't understand what you mean." Ian looked genuinely confused. Then Connor hurriedly came over. "Ian, Gloria, I'm sorry. She seems confused about something. They say pregnant women get emotional, maybe she's lost it." When Connor tried to grab my arm, I shook him off. "Aren't you the one who's lost it? This woman is your wife, right? If so, she needs to work. Come on, Gloria, stand up." When I glared at Gloria while speaking, she said, "Hey, Ian. Your sister is acting strange. Saying such incomprehensible things, how rude." And when Gloria tried to lean against Ian, Ian muttered while looking at my expression. "Flora, you're serious about this, aren't you? Tell me what's going on." For a while now, Connor had been coming home late. One day, I smelled women's perfume on Connor. It was Gloria's perfume. It was natural that I thought I had smelled it somewhere before. It was the exact perfume Gloria had been wearing the day I first met her. Then Gloria started laughing. "How stupid. You suspected something between me and Connor just because of that? This kind of perfume can be bought anywhere, right?" Connor continued, "That's right, Flora. You're being disrespectful to Gloria. And all the relatives are watching, stop this already." And he tried to pull my arm to take me back to my seat. "You know, I have evidence too." I went to get my bag and took out an envelope. Then I dumped its contents in front of Ian and Gloria. The contents were numerous photographs. Pictures of Connor and Gloria having meals together. Them with their heads close together intimately. And them coming out of a hotel with their arms linked. What is this? While watching Gloria's face drain of color, I said, "Did you think I made accusations just based on perfume? I properly hired a private investigator to investigate Connor. I never imagined you would be the other woman, Gloria." When Gloria couldn't say anything, I continued, "The investigation report included the content of your conversations too. Connor, apparently you said Gloria was your wife. And Gloria, you were happy about that, weren't you? Hey, Gloria is your wife too, right? Am I saying anything wrong?" Connor was crawling around, trying to gather up the scattered photos. However, Ian picked up one of them. He was staring intently at the photo of Connor and Gloria coming out of the hotel. I spoke to Ian. "I only received these results yesterday. At first, I didn't want to hurt you, so I planned to stay quiet today. I thought I could make them break up privately. But when Connor threw champagne at me and said such horrible things, I couldn't forgive them anymore. Ian, I'm so sorry." I finally broke down crying right there. While I couldn't forgive Connor and Gloria, what hurt more was deeply wounding Ian, who knew nothing about this. Then Ian stood up and placed his hand on my head. "Flora, it must have been hard. Thank you for telling me. Ian's voice was gentle, and I started crying again. He looked straight at Gloria and Connor. Now then, I'd like an explanation. Gloria, were you having an affair with this man while I was away at work? Gloria's expression became panicked. No, Ian. This is a misunderstanding. What's the misunderstanding? The photos are clearly real. Please explain properly. Well, just before Flora got pregnant, I happened to run into Connor outside. He asked for my contact information, and we ended up going for drinks. And then you had an affair? Connor and Gloria turned pale and said nothing. Connor, what were you thinking? Of all people, to have an affair with your wife's brother's wife. When I confronted Connor, he awkwardly looked away. Well, Gloria is prettier than you, and she's way better than you who's always nagging about housework. Of course I'd be tempted. You're not even that pretty. Actually, I don't have any love for you anymore. I felt my face grow hot. How can you say such things to your pregnant wife? Don't you have any awareness as a father and husband? You're being incredibly irresponsible. A silence fell, but Connor and Gloria were glaring at me. Then Connor let out a big sigh. Ah. Enough. This is such a pain. So after exposing all this in front of the relatives, what do you want? A divorce? I don't mind giving you one. I don't even care about the baby in your belly. If we're going to divorce, let's just do it quickly. Are you trying to act tough? When I said this, Connor looked at Ian with a sneer. So that's how it is, Ian. I'll be taking Gloria. Connor pulled Gloria close to him in front of me and Ian. Right, Gloria? That's fine, isn't it? Become my real wife. Gloria was surprised at first but eventually smirked. Yes, I don't mind divorcing Ian either. Gloria, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Well, even though it's a big company, maybe you're just an employee after all. Perhaps Connor, who will become CEO, is more suitable for me. While my brother and I were dumbfounded, my father-in-law, who had been watching everything unfold, declared, I see, that's excellent. I prefer a beautiful woman like you over this plain wife with no parents. I looked at my father-in-law in surprise. He was looking at me with a hateful expression. You wouldn't even come work when I offered to hire you, and you're inadequate as a wife. And your face, just as Connor says, Gloria is prettier. Connor and Gloria make a good match. They should become a real married couple soon. Gloria was saying things like, thank you very much to my father-in-law. I felt dizzy. Like father, like son, indeed. Connor grinned at his father's words. Since Dad approves too, that settles it. You and I divorce. Ian and Gloria divorce. Then Gloria and I get married. Happy ending. While I was speechless, Connor turned to look at Ian. Sorry for stealing your wife. Well, I might lose in terms of education, but I guess I'm the better man. Connor proudly held Gloria's shoulder while she leaned against him with a slight smile. They looked like demons to me. Ian was trembling with his head down, his expression hidden. Ian, I called out to him, and he slowly raised his face to look at Gloria. Gloria, I understand your intentions. Now that I know about the affair, we can't stay together anyway. We're getting divorced. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about you anymore. Mr. Connor's father, you've really insulted my precious sister Flora. I cannot forgive that. If you think everything will go smoothly from here, you're gravely mistaken. Though my father-in-law's eyes widened at my brother's words, he quickly returned to a smirk. What can you do? Take that good-for-nothing sister of yours and get out of here. Ian looked straight at Connor one last time and said, You had an affair with my wife while betraying my sister and her child. You will definitely face the consequences of this. Like I said, what can you do? It must be humiliating to have your wife stolen, but stop with the big talk. It's pathetic. Then Connor, his father, and Gloria started laughing at us. Come on, you losers, get out of here. We're going to have a party to welcome the new wife. Ian briefly told me, Flora, let's go. We don't need to stay with people like this. My brother and I said goodbye to the murmuring relatives and left the house. Walking side by side with my brother, he called out to me, Flora, is your belly okay? Are you feeling all right? Yes, I'm fine, I answered. I started crying again. Ian, I'm frustrated. So frustrated. Then my brother turned to me with a smile. This isn't going to end here. We'll send them all to hell. I noticed that although he was smiling, he was internally furious. Invited by Ian, we went into a restaurant. He told me to order whatever I wanted, and while I was choosing from the menu, Ian stepped away. He seemed to be on the phone with someone. When he returned, he cheerfully told me, Now, this is where it gets interesting. I didn't understand what he meant and was eating the food that had been served. Several dozen minutes later, my phone started ringing loudly. It was from Connor. Ian told me to ignore it, so I did, but it kept ringing repeatedly. Eventually Ian took my phone and answered it. After hanging up, Ian told me, Flora, we're going back to his house. But Ian said, just come with me, so we returned to the house again. When we arrived, there were angry shouts flying around, and someone seemed to be in a panic. When my brother and I appeared, everyone's attention turned to us. Connor shouted, Hey! Our biggest client said they're stopping business with us. When I asked why, they mentioned your name. What's going on? When I looked at Ian, he was smiling. By biggest client, do you mean National Industries? Yes. Did you have connections with National Industries? Ian nodded. A friend from my university days works at National Industries. When I talked with him recently, I learned he was in the materials procurement department and had business dealings with your father's company. My father-in-law looked at my brother with a dumbfounded expression. He reluctantly said he wanted to stop doing business with your father's company. Apparently, their work was sloppy. But I told him it was my sister's in-law's company, and he decided to reconsider. You didn't. Yes, I told him about how this divorce came about, so there was no need to hold back anymore. I guess that's why they immediately contacted you about stopping business. Then one of the relatives who worked at my father-in-law's company muttered, If we lose the business with National Industries, our company won't survive. What are we going to do? The relatives who worked at my father-in-law's company were panicking. My father-in-law turned pale and held his head in his hands. By the way, everyone. A work acquaintance of mine is starting a materials-related company nearby. If you cut ties with Connor and his father, I can introduce you to work there. When Ian said this, Connor's relatives looked at each other and rushed over to Ian. And they all said things like we'll cut ties with them. They're the worst kind of people. Hey, you guys. Are you planning to abandon us and go to another company? To my father-in-law's words, a relative answered. Your one-man management style was unbearable to begin with. If we lose the business with National Industries, it's just a sinking ship. We have no obligation to stay with you anymore. Besides, in the earlier commotion, you thoroughly insulted these people, showing you and your son are the worst kind of people. Who would follow someone like that as the next CEO? My father-in-law could no longer say anything and was trembling violently. Hey, Dad. What's going to happen to the company? With National Industries stopping business and so many employees quitting. Connor was shaking his father in panic. I smiled sweetly and said, well, it's definitely going to collapse, isn't it? Even if you survive, there's absolutely no way you can continue managing like before. Damn it. If your brother hadn't interfered. Connor reached out towards me. I instinctively tried to protect my belly and avoid him. The moment Connor raised his fist and tried to bring it down, Ian grabbed Connor's collar and threw him. Connor rolled with a thud and ended up lying on his back, staring at the ceiling. It was self-defense, so don't take it personally, Ian said while dusting off his hands. Actually, Ian had been practicing martial arts for a long time. I felt like applauding the beautiful throw, and at the same time felt the heaviness in my chest clearing up. Gloria hysterically screamed at Connor, who was just rolling around unable to speak, hey, is the company really going to collapse? You said you were going to be the next CEO. This isn't what you promised. Connor still couldn't say anything and just kept opening and closing his mouth. Then Gloria started clinging to Ian's arm. Ian, I was wrong. The one I really love is you after all. Earlier was just a moment of confusion. We're not really getting divorced, right? Ian shook off Gloria's arm. Don't touch me. It's disgusting. My lawyer will contact you about alimony. No. This isn't how things were supposed to be. Gloria screamed, sat down on the spot, and started crying with her face covered. Come on, Flora. Now let's really go. When Ian looked at me saying this, I nodded. As we were about to leave, my ankle was suddenly grabbed. Looking down, Connor, still unable to stand up, said, Flora, I'm sorry. I apologize, so please start over with me. What am I supposed to do if my father's company is gone? You work at a big company, so take care of me. I'll cherish our child too. Let's be a family again. Come on, Flora. Please forgive me. At that point, I yelled. Don't be ridiculous. You and I are getting divorced. You'll pay alimony for the affair and child support properly. I never want to see you again, you worthless man. Connor screamed and tried to chase after me, but the relatives restrained him and stopped him. And this time, we finally left that place. After that, Ian and Gloria, and Connor and I each finalized our divorces. Ian demanded alimony from Gloria for the affair, and Gloria, who had no savings, had her parents advance the payment. Gloria's parents were strict people, and she was taken back to their rural home where she's apparently working under her parents' supervision to pay back the money they advanced. Of course, I'm also demanding alimony from Gloria. As for my father-in-law's company, after losing the contract with National Industries and having employees quit en masse, it was finally driven to bankruptcy. Actually, it seems my father-in-law's company hadn't been doing that well in management, and there was hardly anything left. Cut off from relatives and having lost his company, my father-in-law's pride was shattered, and he's reportedly become a shut-in now. As for Connor, I naturally demanded alimony and child support from him. Connor paid the alimony with what little savings he had, and we agreed on $700 per month for child support. Just when he was completely broke from paying me, Ian also demanded alimony. In the end, Connor couldn't pay it all and apparently took out loans. Currently, although he's found new employment, between child support and loan payments he hardly has anything left, and he's living at his family home taking care of his father who's become a shut-in. I no longer have any feelings whatsoever for such a Connor. As for me, I ended up living alone near Ian's house and safely gave birth. Ian was as happy about my child's birth as if it were his own, and I asked him to be the child's godfather. Currently, I'm working hard raising my child while working. Ian dotes on my child and helps us in various ways. From now on,